Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a pumpkin wreath using two Dollar Tree wire pumpkin frames. So I spray painted the frames a copper color, and what I'm going to use is some material that I have from my stash, that burnt orange pleather that I'm going to put on top of that. And I did that because I wanted it to go with my MOODY porch that I did for fall, and I wanted to have something a little bit different on there in terms of texture. So I put the first frame down, and then I put the material on top of that, and now I have a second frame on top, and just making sure that everything lines up. Now the next step is to attach both of the frames together with zip ties. So what I'm doing with this is just making a little slit, very small, within the material, and then I am going to thread the zip tie through there, make another quick little slit, and bring it back through the other side. Now this step is a little bit involved. However, I know it's something that if I can do, you could do as well. I will say that if you use some type of material, like maybe something that has more of already holes in it, in terms of like maybe sweater type of material, that would be beautiful on a wreath like this. Or you could use a burlap material. That would be a good way to allow you to attach the zip ties on the frames, to put those two together. Now I will say I did take that into consideration as I was designing this, and the material that I was using, and going in knowing that I would have to do just a little bit extra work just to make sure that I got everything connected in there just right. And I did go around the pumpkin, around the top of it, and attached a couple of zip ties to put it together. And then I also attached some on each side of the pumpkin as well. And this is how it looks once the zip ties are attached. Now the next step is to just lay it flat on a table, and what I'm going to do is go around the perimeter of the wreath, and I'm going to use my scissors and just cut what I'm going to call a seam allowance, and that is to get it ready for the next step of this project. And now that we've cut the excess material off from the front, we're just going to flip it over, and you want to fold that material over. And what we're going to do is use a hot glue gun, and we're just going to glue that material onto the back of the wreath. And to help keep the material in place as I glue around the wreath, I'm just using some little clamps that I pulled off from some other projects. Just real handy there, and it's just going to hold it, and I'm just going to, as I move around, I'll move the clamps around so that it can have everything kind of stick together and adhere as I'm working around the wreath. And this is how it looks once all of the material is glued down on the back. Now I'm just going to go back and just trim off a little bit more of that excess material. And now I'm ready to go on to the next step. And the next step is to attach a stem to the top of the wire wreath. And for the stem, I'm just using a toilet paper roller, and I'm just going to attach that to the top of the wreath with some hot glue, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next step. Now what I'm going to do is to attach this braided cord around the perimeter of the wire wreath so that it'll cover that up. Now I picked this up from Michael's, and I thought that it would go really well with this material. It kind of blends in and it's not very obvious. I almost went with gold, but I did want to do something a little bit different and just elevate this and make it a tone on tone, and to give it more of that moody look that I'm going for with this wreath, so that it would fit into my front porch, my moody front porch for fall, that I am going to add this to on my front door. So I'm just going to use my hot glue gun and carefully go around the perimeter of the pumpkin slowly, just to make sure that I've got everything covered up very well and that you don't see the wire that is on this wreath. And while I'm finishing this part of the project, I just want to take a quick moment and say welcome to my new subscribers, and to my returning subscribers, thank you for coming back to see me. If you like this content, please leave me a huge thumbs up, and I hope that you will hit the notification button and come back and see me again. Also, please share my content. Share my content with your family and your friends. And a huge thank you for helping me to grow my channel. And this is how it looks. And now the next step is to work on covering up the stem. To the bottom of the stem, I'm adding about a 1/2 inch of pool noodle to it. And I'm going to use that to help attach all of the flowers or the pumpkins that I'm going to use for this. So I'm leaving that space right in there, and then with the remaining piece of my cord, I'm going to use that to wrap around the rest of the stem. And if you notice, I do have some space right in there, and that's okay, because my foliage, my pumpkins, and all of that are going to cover that up. And that just means that that leaves more of the material for me to wrap around the top of the stem. So I'm using as much of my materials that I can, and not really wasting anything. Since I'm going to cover it up anyway, I'm not wasting any of my materials by doing it this way. And now that the stem is covered, I'm going to go ahead and just attach the pool noodle with a little hot glue, and now I can start attaching the leaves and the orange velvet pumpkins. Those are just so beautiful, add so much more texture to this wreath. The texture of the pleather that's covering the wire wreaths, along with the colorful orange leaves and some other beautiful foliage that I'm adding onto that, just really brings this whole project together for me. And I hope that you like this. I hope that this is something that you'll try yourself. If you want to use a different type of material to cover it, however you want to design it. For me, it's just knowing the basic thing of how to put something together. And then once I'm done with that, the sky is the limit in terms of how I want to design it to make it cohesive, to go with everything else that I have on my front porch. And I just think this is going to be a beautiful addition to it. So leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Now this is the final step. I always like to cover up what I call my mechanics so that you don't see anything, and to me it gives it an even more custom look when you do that. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you will go ahead and subscribe to my channel and come back to my channel. And of course, whatever you do and wherever you go, be blessed.